Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, Isaac.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect, because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters, and that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wind Down. You have made it through another day, and you have arrived at the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. I am so glad that you're here. It's been a wonderful day. I hope it's been a wonderful day. And if it hasn't, you know what? We're going to have a wonderful day tomorrow. We'll talk about that and how we can make tomorrow better, as well as celebrating successes. So one of the things we're going to do tonight, and I want you to do this with me. I'm very serious. It helps the live stream out when I breathe, and it will help you out if you breathe as well. If you breathe in deeply and you also exhale deeply, you know what's going to happen? Your life's going to be better. When I'm live streaming here, if I breathe, then the live stream goes better. I'm not, caught up because I can get very keyed up here. But, this is the evening, so we're trying to wind down here. So breathe with me. Now, I hope you have your favorite beverage here. I've got tea. More fog. You asked for fog? No, it's not a timer. I have to hit the button. So you ask for fog, you can get more fog. So more fog coming in. If there's not enough fog, we can get more fog in the room. If you've got your favorite beverage, I want you to drink it with me. So raise your favorite beverage and take a sip. Breathing and our favorite drink. I'm so glad you're here. That was Inner Light, by the way. I just saw that, asking about more fog. Nope. Fog is something you can request. Request more fog, and it shall be yours. So I want to talk about why we're here. I see we've got 5 people watching. I'm so happy. We are here because every day, as this experiment, this is still a highly experimental kind of live stream. But every morning, I've been running the morning grind where we talk about geek-related activities and at the end of every morning grind, we talk about how we can make our life better. What if you accomplished during the day would make it a great day 12 hours later. And now here we are, accountable to one another for having a fantastic day. So that's what we're trying to do right here. Let me tell you, I didn't accomplish all of my goals today. Some things took longer than I was expecting. We'll talk about it. But if we didn't, we're going to say, well, how can we do better tomorrow? Because this is kind of a judgment-free zone. We want to have everyone have a good day. But we're not going to beat ourselves up if it wasn't a good day. Oh, wait a minute. You got to call me out. We need music. The music is supposed to be going on, right? I didn't start the music. Right? No, now things are much better. Right? Remind me of that. Remind me of the fog. Remind me of the music. Remind me to breathe. Remind us to take a sip of our favorite beverage this evening. So that's why we're here at the end of the day. So we are trying to reflect on our day. Did we have a good day? I hope you did. We have a technique that we talk about during the morning grind at 9:30 Central AM every morning. How we make a good day so that when we approach the end here at the wind down, we want to be able to look at our tasks during the day and say, hey, we did accomplish all of those things and we have had a wonderful day. So welcome here at the end of the Geekverse. It's an important day to have. Hey, Keith says, I like the ambience. Exactly. This is a wonderful way to end the day. It's what I'm going for. This is still experimental, but if you're enjoying it, I really want to know if this is an important part of your day, then please let me know in the comments, because I'm just trying this out. If it's something that you like, then we'll keep going. Oh, Access Your Inner Light says, I got 2.5 things done for my big rocks. The big rocks are the 3 things that if we did during the day, then at the end of the day, here at the wind down, we would say we had a good day. So Access Your Inner Light, let's celebrate that. We'll talk about what those things are. 2.5 things done. I'll tell you about my failure. I got a lot of things done, but I had some failures too. So that's why we're here. So I want you at the end of every single day to have had a wonderful day here at the end of the Geekverse. If you have questions for me, I will be happy to answer them. We're going to have some mellow answers. If you've got like intense game design questions and things like that, that's probably better for the morning. But if you've got mellow, we can tell stories, we can chat, we can do things like that. Definitely ask those kinds of questions right here. Okay, the fog machine needs a little bit more time to warm up. I'm pressing the button, but we're keeping going. Okay, so if you had victories today, cool things that happened to you, you got your stuff done, and cool things happened, put them in the chat. We'll put them up on the screen and let's celebrate them. We want to celebrate the good things that happened to you today. Also, did you have a strange random encounter? Did something really weird happen to you today? We'll put that in. We'll pull that up on the screen as well, and we'll laugh. Hopefully, we won't have to cry. Hopefully, it wasn't that kind of encounter. But we can all sort of chill with whatever random thing might have happened to you today. Did you do your big rocks? I think the big rocks idea is a good way for anyone who isn't working on, isn't really deep into productivity and time management. That's a really good way. We talked about that during the morning grind this morning, for people to immediately understand how they can have a good day. Keith says, I'm new to this, just tuned in to the replay from yesterday, the Mork Borg review, and thought I would check in this wind down. Well, thank you, Keith. I'm so glad you're here. Like I said, this is highly experimental. I think this is only the 3rd time we've done this, so I'm open to anything. The idea here is that if you tune in to the morning grind, that we can identify the kinds of the things that we could do over 12 hours, because there's about 12 hours between the morning grind and the wind down. And if we identified during the morning grind let's say 3 things that if we did them today, we would be able to, at the end of the day, say, that was a good day. That was a good day. If we do those, we gotta hold ourselves accountable. That's the whole purpose. And I'm here accountable to you. And then this is a place for you to be accountable to the entire group, because I didn't quite make my goals today. I'm gonna have to do better tomorrow. There are reasons. We'll talk about them here, but this is the purpose. So I don't know. We're all trying to have a better life. In the morning, we're high energy. We got a lot of things we want to do. Here's what we've got to do during the day in order to have a good one. Now, at the wind down, for me personally, the reason I think winding down is a really good idea is because in the past, I would have said, hey, if I didn't get done what I needed to do today, I'm going to stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to get it done. But now I've got an anchor. I've got an anchor at the end of the day, the wind down, that I need to have everything done by the wind down. And if I didn't do that, well, then I'm going to evaluate it. I'm going to think how I can do better tomorrow. But I've found personally that sleep is so important. If I don't get a good sleep and I don't wake up on time, it throws off the entire rest of the day. So that's why I'm like, well, here we are at the wind down. I did what I was supposed to do, or I didn't. If I did, let's celebrate. If I didn't, let's find out how I can do better tomorrow. All right? And then I'm going to close down, and then we will start again tomorrow and try to do better. So that's what we're doing here. Again, highly experimental. This is only day 3. Is this a good idea? It's a bad idea? Let me know. Oh, the fog machine's working again. So we got some more fog in here. Inner Light says, and I also decided to reconnect to the sword and sorcery roots. So I'm going to rewatch all the great films of the 80s. Today, I got through the Clash of the Titans, 1981. That is a fantastic idea, Inner Light. I like that idea. Going and rewatching some of the greats. I have been trying to go through films, a lot of films from the past, and that is a fantastic idea. Keith says, I get Zen and I struggle with anxiety, so I'm looking forward to ways to deal with that. Well, maybe we can help that here. Maybe we can. I'm trying to develop a community around, of course, we are all part of the Geekverse, board games, sci-fi, fantasy, role-playing games. I mean, that's what, my channel is all about here. But I also really value productivity. And I will tell you that I value being a high productivity individual. But for the past 6 months, before I started the morning grind, I will tell you I had the worst 6 months of my life. The worst 6 months of my life. My productivity was at rock bottom. I was trying to figure out what was wrong. And so I had this idea, it just kind of came to me, that I should start the morning grind. And so I started the morning grind. And this was, I believe, day 15 of the morning grind. 15 days of being awake, and live to the world at 9:30, talking about stuff that I wanted to talk about in the Geekverse, because that was the thing. I've got all kinds of, you can tell, I got RPG books and everything behind me, but I live alone in this house. And so I was like, I would love to be able to talk to other individuals about these things. And I got up 2 weeks ago, 15 days ago. And I said, I've got this idea for the morning grind. I'm going to start. And you know what? There were people there. There were people there on day 1. I believe it was 2 or 3 people, only 2 or 3 people, but that's all that mattered. I was prepared for the morning grind that day to have 0 people. I was like, I'm going to do this live show and nobody's going to show up. But you know what? 2 or 3 people did. And we talked about geek stuff. We talked about role-playing games. We talked about games. And that was great. And then later, a few days later, I decided that maybe we could integrate this idea of having a better day. And so I do that the last 10 minutes now, the morning grind, because I want to have a better day. And I thought maybe if I send this out to the Geekverse, that other people would too. So the morning grind is much higher energy than right now. We're intentionally low energy. This is the end of the day for me in my time zone. So the morning grind is high energy. Then we decide, what do we got to do for the day? Then we commit. And then here at the end of the day, we take a look and we are held accountable to each other. Keith also says sleep. Yes, that's the key. It's to me. Now, your key may be something different, but I found that if I can have a good night's sleep, and then I wake up early, which I'm not naturally going to do. I'm a night owl by nature. I have written a lot of stuff, like my dissertation when I was in graduate school, between like 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., right? And so that's natural to me. But I found that my day goes so much better if I can wake up earlier. Now, that's just me. Your time may be different. You find out what works for you. That's what this is all about. Don't do what I do. I'm just talking about what I do. But you find what works for you, because the goal at the end of this is greater productivity. Because geeks, if we got all this in order, then we could all conquer the world. Yes. And Keith says, oh man, I loved that one back in the day. Wonderful. You have found a home, right? We have found a home here. Inner Light says, and I cleaned up about a quarter of the kitchen. Congratulations. We're celebrating success here. If you have successes throughout the day, if you had a success that you want to talk about, put it in the chat. We're going to bring this up and we're going to celebrate. And I cleaned up about a quarter of the kitchen, Inner Light says. And I wanted to get more of that done, but I had to take some time out to scrub butter knives and rewash them. This is like Bilbo in the Hobbit hole, right? Well, that's all right. I cleaned up a quarter of the kitchen. Man, if I could get a quarter of the kitchen clean, then that's also something to celebrate. There's a lot going on there. So if you have if you accomplished things today that you want to celebrate, put it in the chat. We'll talk about that right here. If you didn't, then how can we improve? You know what? I didn't accomplish what I was trying to set out today. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. But also, random encounters. If something weird happened to you today, please put it in. Keith says good vibes. Exactly. This is good vibes we're trying to send out here in the evenings out to the Geekverse. Exactly. So, we'll talk about if I could get the same done in my kitchen boot. Okay, now here we go. Here's one thing we could talk about. How do we use this time? How do we use this time in the wind down, or even during the morning grind in the morning? Now, of course, here's a situation where I personally am a bit more limited because I'm here talking to you, but you are the one who are receiving the message. So tonight, during the evening grind, if you need to clean some parts of the kitchen, if you need to clean up your desk area, I always do at the end of the night. If you need to do a little bit of yoga or a little bit of stretching, then here is a fantastic time to do this. Here during the wind down. You could use that time. In the mornings when we're doing the morning grind, you could also be cleaning, you could be cooking. If you're not doing something that's visual and typing, you might be able to do that as well. There aren't many things that we as human beings can do at the same time. People say you can't do two things at the same time. And generally speaking, they're right about that. You can't do multiple things at the same time. There is one, as far as I know, biological exception to us as people. You can watch something and do something visual while you're also listening to something. That's one situation where you actually can do two things at one time. That's why you can drive a car and still listen to the radio. So that's actually a biological part of being a human. Think about that. You can drive a car and get where you're going, a visual and motor skill task, while you are still listening to the radio and enjoying music or a talk show. So you could do that here with the evening grind or the morning grind. So here is something that we're listening to. Like I said, if you're a writer, you probably can't do a lot of writing while you're listening. But if you're a sculptor, if you're a painter, if you're an illustrator, you might be able to do those kinds of creative tasks while you also listen to the morning and evening grind. If you need to clean, as I do, my house is just an absolute wreck. I've got to clean it. I've been working on it. So while you're listening to the evening grind or the morning grind, you may be able to clean something. Use this as time to set up your day. Maybe here's an idea. The morning grind goes on for an hour in the morning, starting at 9:30 a.m. Central. What if you cooked some breakfast? Would you like to have a really nice breakfast? If you cooked a breakfast and then you did some yoga or stretching or did some other kind of exercise and then also planned your day in the last 10 minutes, wow, that would be a major, mega way to start your day. You'd be able to interact with us. You'd have some fat breakfast. You'd be able to do some yoga. You'd be able to stretch or whatever it is. Yoga doesn't have to be your thing. And then also plan your day. It would be freaking fantastic. Your life will be better. Keith also says, I did think about my grimdark D&D game and how to make that happen. I got the dishes done twice. Excellent. Wonderful. Congratulations. We're celebrating victims here. Is this a grimdark D&D game that you're playing with your friends? We do talk about core creative activity during the morning grind. And we're talking about, you can, what's the amount of time that you need to spend to be a creative person today? More fog coming in. But I don't want this to be exclusive to people who are trying to create something for publication or for a commercial reason or something like that. Absolutely, that can be a part of it. But if what you're talking about, maybe running a grim dark D&D game for your friends at the end of Friday or something like that, at the end of the week, it might be a really good day if you said, I need a few minutes to spend to think about running my D&D game for my friends on Friday. Great. Put that in your day. It'll make it better for that to happen. And you've got the dishes done. Keith also says, been meaning to get the shower grout clean. That's on my list. It's on my list too. I've been trying to go back to the shower and the bathroom in general and get that clean. A lot of my day is spent here in the office. Computers are fantastic. I talked about this also. Computers are fantastic. There's so much we can do because we have computers. Huge benefit to our civilization. The negative is, well, we still have to take care of our physical bodies, right? So we want to make sure that we get out from behind the computer and actually do physical activity as well. I've been hiking. I didn't want to break my 3-mile hike today, so I did 3 miles here. The Commoner, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. The Commoner says, same here, Heath. I'm also a night person who's becoming a morning person because I enjoy the quiet vibe of the dawn. Oh, that sounds wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. I want you, I'm very glad to have you here. And what you're saying is so true. I was saying last night that I read someplace that, and this might be true, who knows, maybe it's not true, but I heard that we need both night owls and morning owls when we were adapted to sitting around the fire, which does sound like an adventuring kind of fire to me. That you have the night owls who will stay up and tend to the fire and keep a watch out. And then when the night owls are going to bed, well, the morning birds are waking up and they're going to keep a watch on the fire and keep a watch out. So I understand why. Sounds good to me. So I understand why we might have both morning birds and night owls, and we need both of them in our society. But I, like you, Commoner, I'm naturally a night owl, but the day does happen to go so much better because of, I suppose, society as we're going on here. That we need that. The days go better if I can wake up early. So I'm trying to reset myself. That's something I'm working on. Not perfect, but I'm working on it. But I'm trying to chill. This is just as much for me as it is for you. My purpose here at the evening was to look at my to-do list. Did I accomplish what I want to do? And to also wind down. So I'm not just so high energy before I go to bed, because then I don't sleep well. So we're going to wind down right here. Keith says, yes, exactly, just for my friends. But that's what I'm talking about. I don't want this to be an environment where everyone has to be like, well, I'm working on some kind of novel for, ultimate publication success or all of that. If you're working on something like a D&D game for your friends, and that's an important part of your life, and it is, because that's social interaction, that's creativity, if you get to hang out with your friends on Friday night and play D&D, that is a major thing. So spend some extra time. That will improve your life. Make sure you spend the time that you want to prepare the game and have a great time. Heath also says, and yes, computers, yes. I love them. There are so many things that I want to do. And you know what comes up? Well, I think about, can I do them here at the desk, or can I do them in the workshop, or can I do them, at some other studio? And increasingly, because technology just keeps getting better and better, the answer is, well, you could do that at your computer. And the answer is probably correct, right? Because computers make things efficient and they make things better. So that's great. I can do an increasingly large amount of things sitting here at this desk working. But on the other hand, it means that everything I want to do is sitting here at this desk in like this quarter of one room of my house. So we got to watch out for that. We want to use the computers for everything that they are really good for and embrace them, but not go overboard. That's why I go out hiking. Been working on that. You should too. Some kind of deliberate active recreation. Life is about being active. So if you can try to integrate some way to be active in your life, I think it will be better. I think it will. I think it will. I've had a hard time getting to the gym. At times during my life, I've been really big on gym going, but then I got to change my clothes, and then I got to get in the car and I got to go to the gym and then work out and then get back in the car and come home and work out. That's why personally I've been working on walking. I started just by walking. I was like, I've been working at this time during the day. I'm just going to get up and I'm going to walk for, at that time, like 25 minutes. But now I've been working on hiking. I've been saying, listen, I'm going to actually get my gear together, what I'm calling my modern adventuring gear. Get that together, and then I'm going for a walk. Keith says, welcome to the morning transition commenter. I became a morning person after working at a golf course 30 years ago. Morning is so peaceful and quiet. It is. It's a great time to get work done. It is. It's true. Commenter also says, the morning has optimism, and waking up early makes me feel less guilty. Me too. It does for me too. I think as night owls, we all carry a little guilt for not getting up at a normal time. That's how I feel. Inner Light says, you can do it at the computer, but should you? That is a fantastic question. And that is a question I ask myself quite a bit when I'm working on different tasks. The efficiency of the computers is hard to beat. That's what I found, especially if you're working on running a business. I got to adjust here. The efficiency of the computers is hard to beat. And that's true. And that's why we love them. But I do think about that if I'm working on illustrating the worlds we're building here, like Rabivania or Theophany, I do kind of want to be able to do something physical. And there's a reason, like that's not at all a bad thing to say, because just because it can be done at the computer, maybe there are still reasons you don't want to do it at the computer, But realistically, the efficiency of the computers went out quite a bit. But there are some things that I want to do, especially as art creations outside of the computer. And I think that's very important. Yes, Keith says, exactly. Wonderful. Keith says, I want to hike. I'm going to start doing that. Well, I have really been enjoying that because I want to be able to hike in whatever I'm wearing. That's a big thing, because instead of having to transition or something like that, I've been slowly accumulating my hiking gear. I got my backpack, and I may want to change that out, but I got an initial backpack, and then I've been putting gear in it, and I leave that by the door. And I'm like, I want to just be able to go for a hike in whatever I'm wearing. So when roughly 3 o'clock hits, that's when I go on what I'm calling the morning adventure. If you want to join me on that, I've been posting like Instagram stories, Instagram, Twitter. I'm Heath Robinson, if you want to follow that, because I'm not trying to like live stream the afternoon adventures, but it's another marker in my day. So the morning marker is the morning grind. The afternoon marker is it's time for the afternoon adventure, and it's time to do something active. And then the evening, it's time for the wind down. We need to wind down. I do, at least. Wind down, reflect on the day. Did we get done what we need to do? If yes, let's celebrate. If not, then let's figure out what we can do better tomorrow. And then we go to sleep, have high quality sleep, at least that's the goal, and then wake up early in the morning. So that's why, talking about Keith hiking, but I want to be able to pick up my backpack by the door and go for a 3-mile hike. Inner Light says, I keep wanting to train in sword fighting, not fencing. I hear that's quite a workout. It is. I wish I could do more of that as well. I used to be in the Society and I still am. I'm a squire in the Society for Creative Anachronisms, but I haven't been participatory in a long time. I do love sword fighting. I would love to be able to get back into that. You know what? I've got my helmet here. You want to see my helmet? You've probably seen my... I keep it here at my desk. This is the helmet that I built. I built with some help with a friend of mine, who was actually my knight, Maximilian Rockhingle. This is the helmet that I built. It's sort of Ostrogothic in inspiration, out of a museum in Revenue. And so this is the helmet that I built, and I would love to be able to get back and do some more SCA stuff, but I haven't been able to. There's also people who are doing HEMA up in Birmingham, which I'm here in rural Alabama, and I would love to be involved in as well. It's a bit too far away. That's the drive is the problem. I live in a little bit of a rural area. But yeah, sword fighting, I love. Keith says, I'm not on Instagram, but we'll look it up and add you. Thank you. I really like the idea of an afternoon adventure. I also like the idea of setting goals for the day. Well, welcome. I hope that you become a part of this community. I'm so glad you're here. We are really trying to live a better life. I'm big on productivity. The times when I was most happy with my life have been the times when I was on a regimented schedule. I'm not quite ready to return to there was a time in my life when I actually blocked out everything I was going to do during the day in 15-minute intervals. Every 15 minutes of the day, I had on my calendar exactly what I should be doing. That was a very high productivity point of life. And there's a lot to be said for that. I was excited about that, and a lot got done. I'm not quite ready to return to that level of regimentation, but my idea now is to put markers during the day about what I should be doing. Like I said, morning grind. I want to talk about geek stuff. That was a problem over the previous 6 months. That I've got all of my board game and role-playing stuff here, behind me, but I'm here in the house alone. I want to be able to talk about role-playing, fantasy, adventures, movies, all the things that are in the Geekverse. And so I had the idea, well, maybe if I just start a live stream at 9:30 in the morning, you know what? I'm going to talk about those things. And then when I was most regimented, I had the idea that at 3 o'clock on that schedule, I started active recreation. And I remember that. So that's why I'm in the central time zone. So I'm going ahead and saying now, 3 o'clock, active recreation. Actually, deliberate recreation. We're talking about that. Deliberate recreation. Because, so what we were saying, here's our terminology here. We want to stay out of the morass. Now, here's what the morass is. Let's say that we've got categorizing time into work, core creative time, and then also our recreation, right? I found, especially over the last 6 months, there is a lot of time when you should be working, you should be doing your work, or you should be doing your creative stuff. And we've talked about why doing the creative part is different than the work part. So there are those differences. But you don't really feel like doing work. You're having a hard time actually focusing and getting work done, or even your core creative stuff done. For some reason, it's just not happening. And you have these other things that you would like to do as part of your recreation. Like maybe you do have certain TV shows you want to watch, certain movies you want to watch. Those are passive things, or it could be going for a hike or going for a walk. But you don't feel like quite going and doing those things because you feel guilty because you're supposed to be doing work or your core creative time. And yet you don't really feel like doing those. So instead you scroll through Twitter or read Reddit or Facebook or something like that. For could be a long time, could be many hours. And at the end of that, you feel bad. Why do you feel bad? Because you didn't spend time doing work or core creative things, or actively, deliberately doing recreation. So if you're not doing those things, you're in what I call the morass. We're trying to stay out of the morass here. And so for me, I'm setting up the morning grind where we can talk about cool stuff and set up our day. And then the afternoon adventure, about 6 or 8 hours later, we should be doing something deliberately that we're trying to take care of. And then after that, we come down here to the evening grind. We reflect and see if we did what we were supposed to do. Keith says, SCA? Always wanted to try it, never did. I loved it. I loved it for many years. I did. And I still do. That's why I still consider myself part of the SCA. It's like you never leave, except for I haven't been participating. I haven't been participatory. But you know what? That's something we can explore here during the days as we go here. I would love to be able to go down to some SCA events and things like that. Maybe, of course, there's an issue with the internet and broadcasting, but, I would love to do that again. Keith says that helmet is something to be super proud of. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I am very proud of it. That's why I have brought it in here into the office. I wish I could make more armor. I was trying to do more stuff about, creating stuff. My first vision, one of my original visions for doing YouTube had to do with being a craftsman. There are a lot of people who make things on YouTube, and I love watching them. They do so well. But that is a lot of work. I did my jumbo-sized Hero Quest board that's here on the channel, but that took many months. You've got to really do a lot of work. The people who are producing daily, but even weekly. I mean, if you're producing weekly build stuff, man, my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you. But I wish I could do more armor building. I've got some armor I want to make. I've got miniatures I need to paint. I was talking about this on the live stream last Friday, that maybe that's something that we could help. I've got miniatures that need painting. I've got other recreational artistic projects that I want to do. Maybe we could set up a scheduled time where everybody does that together. I found it's kind of awkward if I'm just alone on those kinds of live streams, because I'll be sitting there painting my miniatures or working in the workshop, but I'm supposed to be on. But maybe we could set up times for that every 2 weeks or something like that, and have other people on the live stream. So we could not only be working on something physical like that, but we could also be having a great conversation. Commoner says, wicked helmet. Thank you. Thank you. I got to use it more. Inner Light says, yes, these are the abbreviations that we're going to be using. CCT, that's core creative time. Every day we should be thinking about, should we spend at least 25 minutes? Or it could be less to start out with, whatever works for you. Maybe you can only block out 10 minutes. 10 minutes of core creative time. And then DAR or DR. DR is deliberate recreation, right? And then DAR is deliberate active recreation, if you're actually out there burning calories or something like that. Keith says the difference between core creative time and work is a major moment. Yes, I completely agree. Keith says doom scrolling. Exactly. We need to, that's part of the morass. Let's get out of that. If it's not helping us, let's get out of that. Doom scrolling is bad. We want to stop that. Xmas 7 says, do you like Skyrim? I actually know nothing about Skyrim. I mean, I know it's a video game. I'm actually not all that deep into video games. I'm more into the tabletop side. So I haven't played a lot of video games. One of my favorite video games has been historically the Diablo franchise. And so I hear, and I haven't been keeping too much in track with this, but there might be another Diablo coming out. I played a lot of Diablo. So if there's a new Diablo, we might have to play. And, I was thinking about that. If we put together a Discord server for Ravenkeep, I was thinking, we could put that together. Well, there is one. There is a Discord server for Ravenkeep. I'm going to be inviting some people who are part of the playtest for Ritual to it. But I was thinking, if we invite some more people, and then when like not Diablo 3, I guess it would be Diablo 4 comes out, maybe we could set up a server, because I don't play a lot of video games, but I will play that one. And it would be a lot of fun to play with people who are here with us. Inner Light says, I do. Oh, so we have a Skyrim afficondo here. Skyrim is the kind of relaxing before I go to bed. Oh, excellent. Keith says, you're speaking my language, Heath. What school of thought do you follow? What school of thought? I don't know that if I have just one. I read a lot of stuff about productivity and business and things like that prior to really trying to go out on my own. I mean, I was like obsessively consuming things like that. And I'm working on that again, because like I said, I accidentally hit this 6-month slump where I was the least productive that I have ever been. I never want to return to that. Jim Rohn, I like Jim Rohn. I think we should talk about that more. Stephen Pressfield and the War of Art. I've actually been wondering if the War of Art is something that we should cover here on the Evening Grind. I love Stephen Pressfield and the War of Art. I guess those are two big ones as far as productivity and business goes, but we can talk more about that as we go. I would like to do some reading of it on my own. Also, there is also a book that I'll also say, the Getting Things Done, and I forget who wrote that. Eat That Frog. Eat That Frog is by, I'm having trouble calling his name right now. But there's a book called Eat That Frog that is also a really good book. But The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, I definitely recommend. We may be going over those as well. Oh, you got a recommendation here. Gung Ho was a book I found helpful. So yes, excellent. I don't know that one. Maybe I should check it out. Inner Light says I need to paint miniatures too. Yeah, I know so many people who need to paint miniatures. I'm having some ideas about how to bring this all together. This is only the third night I've done this, and only 2 weeks since I started the morning live streams. So if this is beneficial, please let me know. I'm so glad you're here. Keith says, I have so many miniatures to paint and just started 3D printing miniatures. Haha. Yeah, I know. I have not gotten a 3D printer yet. I need to, and there are reasons to do it. I hadn't wanted to take that dive yet, but I probably will soon. Because I'm working on creating miniatures and things like that, and it would be great to be able to print them. I had to order off all of my action figure parts to be printed. So, let's see here. Keith also says, I would be very interested in hanging out and talking about painting. Excellent. Well, that sounds like a good idea. It sounds like something people are interested in. You know, maybe this is all experimental. I'm just talking here. I'm just thinking about how we can do this as a community. Maybe we should have like a painting date, scheduled, a meeting every 2 weeks or something like that. Go ahead and have your miniatures primed, and then like, here is our miniature painting time, and then come and everybody hang out. We have some guests for discussion. Because like I said, it's an awkward live stream if it's just me and I'm trying to paint miniatures. That doesn't work very well. But other members of the community could be on the stream. And then we could talk about whatever we wanted to talk about in the Geekverse. And while we're painting our miniatures, and have a very chill time that's relaxed together. We've got more comments coming in. I'm going to get to them. I don't want to leave them out. But I do want to say that one of the things I've been thinking about today was that online virtual convention that I went to today. My friend Brian Colin wrote the Vast Grim RPG, and he put together a virtual convention for lovers of that game. And I didn't understand what a virtual convention was. In the past, I had just thought that a virtual convention was a list of links that go to different YouTube live streams and videos and things like that. And so what he was doing kind of passed me by. But I woke up this morning and I did message him and I said, you're gonna have to tell me more about this virtual convention kind of thing last time that he's doing. And he said, well, just here's a link, come on in. His convention was free. And actually, the convention that he had created was an 8-bit video game that was actually on board an 8-bit starship, because the Vast Grim RPG that he had created was actually, a horror RPG in space, a sci-fi horror RPG. And so this online convention, you actually got your little 8-bit character to walk around the map, and it was on board a starship. It was really cool. Go back and check out the morning grind this morning. It was one of the topics that we covered, the morning grind this morning. I actually went to the convention live online and actually interacted. It was just a few minutes to see what it was like. It was really cool. I've been thinking about that a lot. I think it would be a great way to try to have community here. I've been thinking about that a lot today. When I was out hiking, did the 3-mile hike today, I was thinking about maybe this is some kind of technology that we should be using in order to build a community and do more tabletop gaming, have more fun, also be more productive in the tabletop gaming space, but our lives as well. You want to be better as far as lives go. And so here's my evening thought for you. So what I've been thinking about today is there's so many times when we are trying to do something that, we're trying to do X. We're trying to do X. But in order to do X, you got to do something else first. So you want to get to X, but you're hammering at Y. You're hammering at Y. I'm hammering at Y. And eventually somebody would ask you, but maybe they don't. So you have to ask yourself these questions. Why are you trying to do Y? Because Y may be a very hard thing to do. And then you say, well, I'm trying to do Y because I want X, and I want X really bad. But times change. Circumstances change. Somebody might say, wait a minute, you're trying to do Y, because you want X? What if you did Z? That's easier, and it would still get you to Y. I forget which letters I just used. Get you to your original purpose, right? You want X, you're trying to get X by Y, but maybe if you reevaluate, there's an easier way to get to X if you just do Z. So I've been thinking about that too, because what do I want? I want people to experience the worlds I'm creating. I'm creating the Tales of Rabavania, and I'm creating Theophany. Tales of Rabavania is our medieval world of rabbit knights, and it's lighthearted, but it's also very serious. It's very serious. I want it to be the definition of family entertainment. Because a lot of times when you see family entertainment, you think of things the kids want to watch, but not really the adults. I want this to be actual family entertainment that everyone wants to watch. And then also a much harder core Theophany, which is about the fall of Lucifer, which is much more like HBO kind of, serious world. I want people to be able to experience those worlds. So what do I need to do in order to get that? Is it, creating a whole video game? Well, that's very difficult. All right. Why are you trying to create the video game? Because I want people to experience my worlds. Are there easier ways, like creating an RPG, for example, like we're talking about on the live stream, or some kind of board game, or maybe even some kind of interactive online experience that you could do that would get you to your goal easier than having to go through something else? Does that make sense? Am I just rambling here? I think it's something to think about. The overall idea here is maybe you want X, and so you're trying to do Y, and you're trying to fight with Y very hard, because it may be a very hard thing to do. But if you stepped back, if somebody asked you to step back and say, why are you doing Y? Well, I'm doing Y to try to get to X. Well, now, wait a minute. Now, here's another way you could get to X. Give up on Y, because that doesn't matter. It's not what you're actually trying to get. You want X, go through Z. But there aren't a lot of people to ask us those kinds of questions in our everyday life. So we have to ask ourselves that question basically every day. And I've been trying to work on that. I was thinking about that as I was hiking too. Now, what I'm trying to do is get to these worlds that I can let people explore and, experience and have a good time in. Do you have to do something else? Or is there some faster route to actually get to what you were actually trying to do? A very important thing to think about, right? And then also last night we were talking about how it's very important to think not about what is the most you can possibly do to accomplish your goal. Because I can think of a lot of things. I've got a very active imagination. And especially if you say, hey, if I were to say to any of you right now, tonight, given an unlimited amount of money and an unlimited amount of time, what would you do in order to bring about whatever it is you're trying to do? Well, I'm trying to bring out these worlds. Will you give me an unlimited amount of time and an unlimited amount of money? Well, one kind of thing I could think about is, a movie with a budget of, $200 million or something like that. That's very big. But on the other hand, if you think, what's the least you can do? And a lot of people are opposed to that because they're like, don't think about the least. But I'm asking you that question. What's the least that you could do that could accomplish all of your goals? Think about that. If you've got goal, I want X, and I want it really bad. Okay, well, what's the least you could possibly do to accomplish that? Well, then do that. Go straight to your goal, right? If you got a plan. Now, whether or not you have a plan or not, might be a problem. You might need somebody else to try to talk to you, a mentor, about how to get there. Let's go back to the chat. Inner Light says, the thing about 3D printed models is they're not as sturdy as traditional injection. I've got 2 models from Hero Forge and they both broke in the same place. Oh no. The resin printing can be brittle. I know. I've got a few things from Hero Forge. Over time, I think we'll get there. But some of the resin can be very brittle. That's some of the miniatures that I've had printed out for the cultists. They are very brittle. Keith says, I've also noticed they are fragile for sure. I thought maybe it was settings, print speed, resin, etc. Well, there's a lot of that too. And that's one of the reasons why I personally haven't gotten into 3D printing. I've got a friend, Lou Anders, who does it all the time. But that's it. X7Xmas7 says, did you ever play any VCR game Doorways to Adventure? Now, okay, I don't know this phrase, doorways to adventure, but I did play VCR games. I played 2 of them. One of them was the Star Trek, the one that I got it for Christmas one year. I played it a lot. The Star Trek, The Next Generation VCR game. I think that those gaming ideas were kind of ahead of their times. I don't think they get enough appreciation now. They were a little bit awkward at the time, so I understand why they didn't just explode. They were a little bit awkward to have to handle, but they were some good ideas that I think were very much ahead of their time. So I played the Star Trek one where Captain Kavok had hijacked the USS Enterprise D, and then you had to, recapture the Enterprise and neutralize Captain Kavok. I did play that, and then we did have also a Star Wars. Excuse me. There was a Star Wars game as well. I don't remember that one as well. I've played it. We had it, but I didn't play it as often. But we did play those. Are those the kinds of things you're talking about? I don't remember them under Doorways to Adventure, that brand. Inner Light says, most of what you're talking about is venues of time and life management, part of life coaching. Yeah, probably. I don't really work. I know that there are such things as life coaches, but I've never used any of them myself. And that's not what I'm calling myself here. I'm just talking about what works for me, and hopefully it'll work for you. Or if you don't have a system, maybe it will work for you. But if you have a system that does work for you, maybe you've gotten away from it, now would be a good time to come back. Xmas7 says, also love the dinner and a board game Hero Quest vids. Thank you very much. The Hero Quest dinner and a board game was our second pilot. I basically treated it as a second pilot for a show. That was the second season. We only got to shoot one, though. I wanted to shoot one more episodes earlier in this year, but many of the cast and crew simultaneously had COVID. And then after that, there was no place to go. And then I had my major slump of productivity that I'm trying to pull myself out of. I would love to be able to shoot more dinner and a board game because, the gaming room, the dungeon gaming room was just on the other side of this wall. It is a bit difficult, but, see, that's one of those things where I was talking about what's the goal? I'm trying to create dinner and a board game. Maybe, although this brings us back to the computer, I've been thinking a lot about how we could do different digital versions of that show, maybe, which would actually allow them to get done, maybe live streaming on Friday nights. We'll see. I'm thinking about those kinds of things, trying to get all of this. Keith says, I'm loving the morning grind, and this wind down seems cool. I'd encourage you to keep it up. Thank you. I work shifts out of town, so I won't be around for all of them, but this sure is helpful, and I like it. Thank you so much for letting me know. Like I said, I'm considering this experimental, but when I said, I'm going to do the morning grind, I'm going to try that for 30 days. Because one of the things I'm big on is understand what a try is, and then commit to 2 or 3 is better. So, waking up one morning and doing a morning grind, that's not a try. It doesn't work. It's not going to work if you do it once. But I said, one try at morning grind would be 30 days worth of trying. So that's why I still call it experimental right now. There's a lot of things that I'm sure will change. I'm sure there are a lot of things that I want to do differently. But I got up, I said, we're going to commit to 30 days. And then about 2 weeks into it, I said, wait a minute, I got this idea that I bet the morning grind, if that's the bookend for the morning part of the day, maybe there should be a bookend for the evening, right? And so that's when I had this idea I called it the evening grind originally, but so many people in the comments said the wind down would be better. So I took their advice, and so we're experimenting with the wind down. So this is experimental. Keith says, I have a friend who played in that virtual convention, Vast Grim game. Oh, Small World. Excellent. He absolutely loved it, the game and the convention. Yeah, I want to tell Brian about that. Brian, who ran it, is a friend of mine. I didn't get to be there as much as I would have liked today because I didn't understand it. But once I got in, I actually logged into the convention about 30 minutes before the start of this live stream, and no one was there. And I was sad. I was like, let me go into the convention hall and see who's there to talk with. And nobody was there. It was already over. So I was sad. So I'm thinking that there is something that we can definitely do with that that will make all of our lives better. I'm thinking I'm thinking about a lot of things. So we're adapting as we go. Keith says he wants to run the game for our group over Christmas. He says it was super fun. I would definitely try it out. So we got Z2X. I mean, yes, Inner Light is great at coming up with our acronyms for what we're talking about. We want to, if you want X, if Y isn't working, maybe Z is a better way to X. Maybe we're going to come up with all kinds of different ways to talk about our stuff here. Inner Light says, I'm interested to hear more about theophany. Is it angelic beings or are there humans? Well, both. The storyline takes place before human beings exist. But I've got a lot of space to cover, a lot of time to cover in that. The core storyline that I want to tell and that I have wanted to tell ever since I was in high school. I mean, a long time ago, I've had this idea. I've had the idea for Tales of Rabavania ever since I was in middle school. So my ideas that I really want to bring out to everyone are the Tales of Rabavania and Theophany. But Theophany came to me in high school and has been with me ever since, and I've been trying to figure out ways to get to it. Its core storyline is about the fall of Lucifer. I want to tell the story of the fall, which, by the way, the reason that, because I'm trying to tell that story, rather, I was told to go study Anakin Skywalker by a friend of mine and a mentor, I suppose, first of all, but also I would consider a friend who's out in LA. And he said, all right, then go study Anakin Skywalker, actually for several different reasons. And Brianna De Silva, who's with me as the director of the Cultists, and she's live streams with me on Friday night. She's also been working on trying to do a corruption arc for one of her stories. And so she was also studying Anakin Skywalker and got sent to that. So we're going to talk about Anakin Skywalker and his arc tomorrow morning on the morning grind. I already posted that. That was quite a digression right there. But so Theophany's core storyline is about the fall of Lucifer. So it's primarily about angels. But yes, there are humans too. And I want to build that out as an RPG campaign setting. So we're going to talk about the development of that. We'll do that on Morning Grind. Right now, the main thing is Ritual, because Ritual is our social deduction party game that's coming out. So, but we're going to be talking more about more of those. Keith says, I always get stuck on Y and try to get to X. Yeah, I do too. I mean, there's a lot of that. And you're like, I'm stuck trying to do Y. But does Y really matter? Because I'm speaking for myself here. I get myopic. Like, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do this, And if somebody were behind me, like asking me questions, they're like, why are you trying to do that? Well, it's because I want this over here. Oh, well, then just take this shortcut, right? Yeah, it's a major problem. I think we should remind ourselves of that multiple times here. That's a good thing. We should bring up this Y to get to X, or should you just go through Z several times? Because nobody else is out there in our everyday world, probably. Maybe you have a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend who is looking out for you like that, but maybe you don't. There aren't many people who do that, but we could do that here as a community. I'm trying to do X, or I'm trying to do Y. Why are you trying to do Y? Well, it's because I really want X. Maybe that's like, oh, you know what? I know somebody who you should talk to who can get you X much faster. It's really important. Great analogy. Thank you. Inner Light says, in life coaching, we call this goal reaffirmation. All right, well, maybe we should use that as well. Keith says, I remember Lou from the TV tabletop video. Yeah, Lou is a friend of mine, Lou Anders. Hey, oh my God, I've been streaming for nearly an hour. That's okay. Let's just keep going. As long as you're here, we'll keep going. But what I was going to say is that Lou Anders is a fantastic person to talk to and listen to. I've had him on the channel. He's on several different videos here on the channel. But also I did an interview with him on Table Talk. I did a one-on-one interview with him. Lou is a very interesting person because he hits so many of the things that we are probably interested in the Geekverse. He is a self-published author who writes novels. I've got his books right over here. He has written the Thrones and Bones trilogy, right? So he's got a trilogy of novels, of course, set in his own world. They're fantasy novels. I've talked about them before. I'm talking about them here to say, well, one, he is a friend of mine, but he has been able to traditionally publish his own novels. Then he self-publishes his own RPG. He's written his own RPG in this world. Very high production value. I went over his campaign world in one of my videos also here on my channel. So traditionally published the novels, self-published the RPG campaign setting, but he has also been able to secure licenses to write in existing IPs because, wait, please say in the fog that I can find it. Oh, right here. Lou has also written for Star Wars. This is The Pirate's Price by Lou Anders right here. So he's traditionally published his own novels, self-published his own role-playing games, and then also been contracted by Disney to write this Star Wars novel. And actually, this novel right here is the novel that explains why the Millennium Falcon is sitting where it is in the Star Wars theme park that Disney built. It's there on whatever planet. Is it Jakku that they built or whatever it is? I'm not sure. But whatever. The Millennium Falcon is there, and he's written the book who explains why that starship is there. So that's why I really wanted to talk to him, and I had a great conversation with him. And you can find that conversation on the YouTube channel because he brought all kinds of great information about how do you self-publish your campaign settings, how do you get an agent and traditionally publish a book, and then also if you want to write for an IP and you actually want them to contact you and you want to write Star Wars or you want to write Marvel or whatever. It was a fantastic conversation. Look for that. Inner Light says, I still have the VCR board game Atmosphere. I don't know that one at all. Keith says, can we give some love to the War of Kings board game? I love it. Oh, thank you. I've never played it, but it's on my shelf. See, I wonder if there's some way we can play that virtually. I built that out in Tabletopia. I did long time ago. I'm evaluating Tabletop Simulator now, but just haven't done it quite yet. But now that's on my list. And you did give me a serious solid back then and you did give me a serious solid back then and went out of your way to get it to me. Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm glad you got it. That game was the very first one that my brother and I designed, and we self-published it, and we brought it out through Kickstarter, and we got it out. I gave away a copy of it on a Friday night the other night. One day I would like to talk about on the Morning Grind reevaluate that original Kickstarter, also reevaluate the rules, because in the future, if we were to return to that game, then what I would want to do, we can upgrade the rules and all of that, but then make it specific to a world like Theophany or Ravivania. Inner Light, we got more love for War of Kings. I love War of Kings. Lots of love here. Thank you. I am so glad. That makes me absolutely wonderful to hear. I feel wonderful to hear that. I'll be here in the morning for the Skywalker discussion. Wonderful. I would love to hear what everyone has to say about that. Can I put Lou's books in the show notes, Heath? I would really like to check out his work. Yes, I can. I can put that kind of stuff in the chat. Oh, he sent me a bunch of links. If you go to Lou, this is the main page, I would guess. If you go to louanders.com, I'm putting that in the chat right now. That gets you to Lou's home page. But he's actually on Kickstarter right now. He's got a link up there for the Thrones and Bones RPG. I'm looking at that right now. That gets you to Thrones and Bones. My books, Star Wars. It looks like you can get to a bunch of stuff right there. I wonder if he has a link to his Kickstarter on there. Let me look that up. Search what was it called? Val Raven or something? Oh yeah. Here, I'll put this in. He's got 17 days to go on another Kickstarter where he's creating a 5th edition Dark Age adventure for Thrones and Bones, because one of the regions of the Thrones and Bones world is a Viking kind of world, and he's on Kickstarter right now for a certain new adventure in that world. So I just put that down there as well. If you search my YouTube channel for Lou Anders, you'll also find the videos where he's there. Keith says, an A+ to you for promoting other folks on your stream. Access Your Inner Like. I'd like to follow more of your stuff. Access Your Inner Like's been working on an RPG. That's what we're doing. So yes, so Keith, this is another excellent point here that you bring up. I do like promoting other people's stuff on the stream because, I mean, there's the stuff that I want to create, and there's the stuff that I want to do, but I also, like, I can't fill all of the time with what I'm trying to do because, you know, I'm just one person, right? And so I do definitely believe in promoting independent creators. Hey, wait a minute. People ought to call this out too. If you've got your favorite drink with you, take a sip, right? Everybody take a sip together. Coffee, beer, wine, whatever you've got. Let's take a sip. I was realizing I was getting parched because of sitting here and talking. Well, what can I do about that? Take a drink. And then we can also breathe. Breathe. Do it with me. Helps me out when I'm running the stream so I don't get so keyed up, because this is the way to wind down. But what you say is so true here, Keith, that there are a lot of people who say that, hey, you know what? I want to see independent stuff. Now, here's the secret about that. The secret is that that's not always true. You know, there are a lot of people who, when they're watching some kind of, you know, live stream or whatever it is about how bad Star Wars is. Let's say you like it. Let's say you think that Star Wars is bad right now. We're not going into all that argument here, but, you know, let's just use that as an example. People who think that, man, Star Wars has gone in the wrong direction. I wish I could see something else. But it's very difficult to get something new and independent in front of people. It really is. And also, one of the reasons that people, this is a dirty little secret of the world, but I think it's the way that it is. People like Star Wars because other people like Star Wars, right? So even they might say, you know, I really don't like this. I don't like the way the direction is going. I don't like the story. This is just an example. Okay? I wish I could see other things. But one of the things is they like Star Wars because other people like Star Wars, and other people might want to talk about how they don't like Star Wars, right? So it's actually difficult to get stuff in front of people. And so I would really like it for this as an independent community of creatives that, well, we should support each other. We should talk about the different things that we're doing. We should like celebrate our successes. That's what we do in the evenings. And if somebody's creating a new story or a new RPG, we should share that and we should go and take a look at it. Keith says, I don't really have much out there, but I'm working on an RPG right now, similar to Hero Quest, but a little more advanced. Maybe that's one thing we can talk about here in the future. Keith says, look into Vorpal Board for online play. I bought the Kickstarter at the onset of COVID. It seems really great. I never tried it. Vorpal Board? Hey, I have never heard of that, but I do take notes of these things. Maybe that's something we should cover on a morning grind. I'm going to put this on my morning grind notes right now. If you have ideas for things we should talk about and evaluate, that's great. So Vorpal Board. All right, it is on the list now. There, Vorpal Board is on the list now, so I've got the note of it. If it's good for online play, that would be great. I really want to find some really good way for us as a community to be able to do gaming. It's going to have to be online because this is an online community. I was kind of making that realization. I always want to make things for the physical world, and I do want to make things for the physical world. And if you have the choice between gaming in the physical world or the online world, choose the physical world. Go and do that. But I know there are a lot of people, myself included, who don't get enough gaming in. And if we can do it online, we get the interpersonal connection, the human connection is very important. And we can go on. That would be cool, Keith says to Innerlight. Excellent. Keith says, take a sip. Oh, let's do that. Everybody, take a sip. Take a sip of whatever drink you've got. We're being mellow here in the evening. Sip and breathe. If you're not doing it with us, you should. You'll feel anxiety leave. I know you think it's silly. I know you think it's silly. I know you think it's stupid. But this is our opportunity to wind down. And so breathing, if you breathe with us, really do some good inhales and solid exhales, you will feel better. I guarantee it. Try it. Take a sip and breathe. Yes. Innerlight says, don't just wish you could see something else. Create the thing you want to see. That's exactly. And I've been working on that so much. That's what I've been trying to do. There are lots of setbacks. It has not been easy. We can talk about that sometime, I don't know, tonight, but at other times. I've had many, many failures. I've had a lot of successes. Well, no, I've had some successes. I've had many more failures. I've had a lot of failures. I've had some successes. Fortunately, those successes have carried me through, but I can also talk about some really ridiculous failure stories. I don't know if tonight's the night for that, but we can talk about how we just have some absolutely tremendous and terrible failures. So, but maybe that's what some people need to hear. It might be because some people, like, oh, these people I see, everything went right for them. Well, you're probably not looking at me and saying that, but I can tell you that that's not true. Everybody has some catastrophic failures. And I had some catastrophic failures. But you have to keep going anyway and hope that the successes actually sustain you. Well, actually, don't hope. I want to revise that because I'm not real big on hope. We don't want to hope that our successes will sustain us. You want to engineer it and be deliberate so that you can have some failures but still end up at success. That's what I'm trying to work on. Keith says, Vorpal board uses your phone and a webcam to stream your game. Lets you scan in cards, game pieces, etc., and share a shared virtual tabletop. Sounds exactly like what I need to investigate. I really want to be able to playtest Ritual online. Like I said, I've built things on Tabletopia and they were just terrible. So I'm evaluating Tabletop Simulator. Maybe I should evaluate Vorpal board. I was trying to get an email out to everybody on the Ritual playtest. Maybe I should just put those links out there. This is the next board game that I'm bringing out. It's called Ritual. It's a social deduction board game about modern-day Lovecraftian cultists who are just trying to worship Cthulhu, but nobody else understands. And, there are agents of the Yellow King who are infiltrating them. And you can see the game there, but you can sign up for a playtest at this link right here. I was trying to get new rule sets out to my playtesters today, but I didn't make it. So if you've emailed me about playtest rules, I'm sorry, I didn't respond today. It'll have to be tomorrow, but it's coming and we will do a playtest there. But there are many people, many people I know who are interested in it, but they don't have a group to actually playtest it. I mean, there are many people who want to talk about rules and things like that, and that's fantastic. But it would be better. But if you don't have a physical group to play with, then that's bad. So if I can find a way, I'll investigate Vorpal board, but also Tabletop Simulator. I got another idea as well for this in general, but we'll see. Because if I could send this out and say, hey, let's do some virtual play testing, and then everybody would get to play test and we could do it all online. Hey, it doesn't get us outside. We still have to do that. We still have to go for walks. We still have to go for hikes. We still have to be active. But if we had some way to all get together and have some fun, then I would host that. Trey, hello, Trey. Welcome. Excellent. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Wind Down. Cthulhu Dark? Is that what we're doing here? Cthulhu Dark? Keith says catastrophic failures. Yeah, man, I feel you. Also, not big on hope and trying to engineer success for myself. exactly. We don't want to rely on hope. We don't want to rely on hope. I mean, we like hope. I like hope, but we don't want to rely on that. We want to try to engineer it. I need to commit to some life changes, though, first before I can get there, I think. Well, me too. Me too. And so maybe this community can support you in that. In fact, I would love to hear about that. If you have some changes that you need to make in your life and you start to make those day by day and you're having successes, we should talk about them in the evenings if this is an important thing to do. So I would love to hear more about that. Well, let me see what else I have on the script here. I think I talked about the things I was thinking about today. If there are other things you were thinking about, I think we covered many of those. But let's see what else. Is there anything else we can say? I can't believe, this has been so smooth and mellow. I originally envisioned the end of the day live stream going for about 25 or 30 minutes so that we can all check in with ourselves. In fact, we should check in with ourselves, and then hold ourselves accountable. But, this is flexible. We had some great comments tonight, stuff like that. So I don't mind. We just keep going. I don't want to go too late because I'm trying to wind down so we can go to sleep and then wake up and attack tomorrow. But, I didn't accomplish everything I was trying to do. I had no core creative time today. Core creative time. That's one of the things we're talking about. And I didn't get any today. I was really trying, but I didn't get to it. There were a couple of things that inhibited that. I did say I was trying to do laundry today, and I was trying to incorporate laundry and going and also to the hardware store to get all of the equipment to build a grill. I want to build a grill for an afternoon adventure because let me tell you about this grill situation. I have been thinking for a couple of years, I need a grill here at the house so I can grill out and have a party and invite lots of people over. But you know what? Unfortunately, lots of people really don't come over to my house. I live far enough away from most of my family and stuff. We're talking about 50 minutes here, but 50 minutes, that's enough time to kind of keep people from coming and a lot of friends and things like that. So it's just me. What do I need a giant grill for? So, why do I need some, really expensive giant grill? I don't. So what I was trying to do is get the equipment to build a grill for a single person. So I got the bricks necessary to do that. I ordered a grill, a titanium grill they use for camping, and then it's not set up yet. It's still in my car, but I did have to go down to the hardware store today and get all of that material and the heater I wanted. And then on an afternoon adventure, I'm going to be setting up that grill. And then I have to do let's say a 1.5 mile hike. And then I have to get a fire started and then cook a steak. And then that way I can have lunch and then go for a 1.5 mile hike again. And that would get me 6 miles. So, that's where something we could be doing right there. I forget where I was going with that. But Inner Light says, I hope it doesn't do much. Goals, visualization, planning, and taking actions. And the planning and taking actions is so important. And what's more important? I like the goals. I like goals that, have a quantity attached to them. That's why I put during the morning grind the idea of life by the numbers. Because let's say, so here's my idea about goals. If you just say, I want to lose weight, that's not a great goal. Because how much weight? By when? I'm trying to lose weight. That's why I'm doing active recreation. I'm way too heavy right now. But if I said, I want to lose 5 pounds in 3 weeks or whatever's healthy, I'm just throwing this out. Just saying, I want to lose weight, that's bad because you can't quantify that. But if you say, I want to lose 5 pounds in 3 weeks, that's a good goal. But more importantly than that, you need to implement a system that will get you from where you are to there. So the systems, you need the goals, but more importantly, you need a system that you can work every day and get to the end of it, and then plan and take action. And that's what that 10 minutes of the morning grind is for. Trey says, Cthulhu Dark is a great one-shot type game for Call of Cthulhu. All you need is 3 dice, one of a different color. Really? Okay, well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that on the list as well. Cthulhu Dark. putting that on the list. We may need to check that out. Keith says, I would just say start small. Starting small is important. Yep, I agree. You know, in order to kind of knock down the house, you got to go big, but you got to start small. Because if you can't do something small, you're not going to do something big. So, you know, I was thinking about that. I think we talked about that last night, actually, that we can always talk about and think about what the maximum thing we want to do is. But, you know, what's the least or the minimum that you could do? Can you get that done? Well, that's a start. It really is. Keith says life changes don't happen in the blink of an eye, and it's true. Innerlight says nothing more for me. Just time to relax, preparing dreams for the night. Yep, I'm going to have to go soon too because I want to wind down because I like I said, my issue is sleep. If I can get sleep done right and get up early, I know it's going to be a good day. And I really want to have, there's a lot of stuff I need to do tomorrow. Trey says, the best I got today was housework and a walk. No NaNoWriMo or any RPG reading today. Oh, Trey, you were doing NaNoWriMo. I knew there was somebody who was doing NaNoWriMo. I hope that on the whole, that's going well. I really hope it is. But housework and a walk, those things are very important. I hate that you didn't get NaNoWriMo done. You know, I think I talked about this, but my philosophy on NaNoWriMo is I've done it before, but I've written a bunch of stuff that didn't matter. And so, you know, I was deep into writing a Tales of Rabavania story, and I wanted to bring that out after the Cultists, come up with a way to do that after the Cultists season 2. But I sent that out to the guy out in LA, and he said, there are problems with this story. And I think he's right. You know, he's right about a lot of things. Okay, we're gonna need a lot of rewrites here. But he also said, now, rather than rewriting the story right away, what you really need to write is something else, a different kind of story. And so I have been thinking about that. And so I'm putting the existing story on a shelf, and I'm working on creating the new story through index cards. And I'm not going to start actually writing that story until I am done with all the index cards and I actually know what the story is going to be. Heath says, please record the grill build. Really enjoying your stuff, Heath. Okay. Thank you. You know, I was thinking about that because probably what I'll do, you know, I don't want to get too caught up on the morning adventure because the afternoon adventure, because I've just been sort of tweeting about that or putting that out as an Instagram story, kind of as a marker in the day for anybody else who is wants to watch. But I was thinking that maybe I should record some material to put out just as a standalone YouTube video about this grill build because I want it to be easy. And I got all the stuff to make it work. So maybe in addition to that, I might consider recording it to put it out as a standalone video. I'm trying to keep it going. Trey says, I made a rocket stove out of bricks and I use a grill steak and stir fry with my work. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. You know, especially if you're alone as a single person, I realize, you know, there might be an easier way to get to my grilled steak than trying to, you know, buying a giant grill or something like that. Uses less coals and gives great heat, and it's probably easier too. Steven says, I didn't say hello when I popped in however long ago, but I'm off to bed. Thanks for your content, Heath. Well, you're welcome. Yep, we're about to sign off here. We should sign off soon. I've got to get to bed. Hello. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, though. I'm so glad you were here, Steven. And Steven says, good night, all. Well, what else should we do? Well, we should drink. I've got a little bit more drink here, so let's take a sip, everybody. We'll sign out when I've got a little bit more drink, just a little. We'll sign out when it's done, but also breathe. So if you have any other questions or comments or anything like that, please let me know. We'll just go for a few more minutes here, and then we're going to sign out with our audiobook like we always do. Sip and breathe. Keith says good night, and I believe that Trey is signing out as well. That's great. Good night, everyone. Good night, Trey. Hope to see you in the morning. We'll be sending out a lot more stuff. I hope this has been a great wind down time for everyone. I cannot believe that this wind down has been an hour and 24 minutes. I've got to. Thank you. I slept really well last night, but one of the problems was I slept too much. And then I missed getting up. So I got to sleep well, but then also get up. Hopefully we'll be attacking tomorrow. Okay. Well, now tomorrow we will be up with the morning grind talking about Anakin Skywalker and planning our day. I'm going to try to get Ritual Cthulhu rules out and all of that. So it's going to be a big day tomorrow. I want to wind everybody out here with Goodnight Sword, which is the book that I wrote that's obviously a takeoff of Goodnight Moon, but I wrote Goodnight Sword because I know there are people out there who are fans of fantasy and, the medieval world, who would want to be able to share something with their niece, their nephew, their younger cousins, their child, son, daughter, whatever it is, who would much rather have Goodnight Sword than Goodnight Moon. And so I wrote this book. It was illustrated by Adam Botsford, and then we turned it into a animated audiobook. Brianna read it and also helped with the animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up, and then we can close out with it. It is available as an independent video on the YouTube. If you know someone who would like to see it, you can send them to the YouTube video or download it on ravenkeep.net. But here we go. I'm going to bring it up.
Goodnight Sword.
This is Goodnight Sword.
Written by E.H. Robinson.
Have a wonderful evening,
Illustrated
everyone.
by
I will
Alan N.
see you in the
Botsford.
morning for the morning
Narrated
grind.
by Brianna De Silva.
Let's enjoy Goodnight Sword.
Part of the
Good night,
Tales of
everyone. I have
Rabavania.
really enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been fantastic.
Goodnight Sword. Goodnight Gourd. Good night, guards who keep us all safe. Good night, dagger. And the iron hauberk. Good night, cheese. Good night, keys. Good night, elm. And good night, helm. Good night, squire. And good night, liar. Good night, shield. And good night to the lance only the gallant wield. Good night, banner. And good night, jewel. Good night, gruel. Good night, knights. And good night to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Good night, maiden fair, whose favor I bear. Good night, rabbits everywhere.